Mm, It's Sunday, and many of you have been to the church or are in the church, but I don't. I don't go to a church. I am not with other people, and I live here in Sweden, and our languages in Sweden is Swedish. So English is not my first language. That English I have learned in the school and being married to a man in United States in Texas and listen at music also when I was younger. I have problems. It's I get I go down in some depression, and I have tried to recording some episodes and started and then it doesn't work out as it should. It's have been stand still like that in the recording, and I think it's something of what's in the realm that is like a control war going on, and I feel it. I I am a prophetess, so I know what's going on. But as I am a human person, it's hard for me to do anything about it. It's only to wait for God. It's many times it is that we need to wait for God, and it have to take time. For it can be hard for God to do things for us because of those people that should help us. They don't listen at God. They do their own will, so it doesn't happen anything. And it have been for me, I think, many times in this walking under God, that God had talked to people about me and helping me and these things, and they don't do it. God need people. We are God's tools. Many things can God do it on his own, but many times he need people to step up and do things and listen to him. But people run with their own will and their own thinking what they want in their life, and not thinking that something maybe is in God's will. That people are so selfish. So it have been this, like it's a war in my life, and it all started that my brother come forward in some ways. I have not had dreams about my brother. I don't know if I ever have had dreams about him. But lately I have had 2-3 dreams about him coming in my dreams. And I don't know what's going on. it have not been very evil dreams, but he have been there, and I have told him that I have forgiven him for being evil in my life when we grew up together, that he was so very evil, because in some way it was not his fault. He was brainwashed from the beginning of the devil, so he did bad things to me. We can't judge people on what we see and hear, because we don't know their stories, where they are coming from. And sometimes the devil have already taken people before they are born. Some people is born and have the spirit in them already as a child. But that can also happen that the devil have entered into that child, or it's standing there and wait for the child to be born, and then they take that child. The devil take the child. If not the parents protect it. And my mother never talk about God, and my father never talk about God. When my mother was on her way to lose her memories because she be dementia, she died of dementia. You don't die of dementia. It's that you stop to know what to do with your body. So she's starving and thirsty to death. She stopped eating and drinking. So she died of that. But it's dementia. She felt, and then she started to invite all kind of churches into her home and talk. And she had a Bible, and she took it and opened it when she start to feel like she lost her control over her life. So it was too late to do so much things for her. And so my brother and I, we didn't grow up with God. My father, when he was sober, he took us to the church. But my brother and my adopted sister, they were older than me, so they could run away. And on Sundays, when it was time to go to the church, they run away and hide. So my father didn't find them, so they didn't need to go to the church. And he took only me to the church. But it was only when he was almost sober. He was never sober, not one day in his life. And he died when I was 17 years old. So that I didn't have any church as a child. And I'm thankful for that, because I didn't have any picture of Jesus. I wasn't brainwashed to see Jesus like he looked like in a picture of the Catholic Church picture, or whatever painted Jesus. And as I grew up in Sweden, it was a white Jesus. Had I grew up in Africa, had it maybe been a black Jesus. Have I grew up in Asia, in Thailand, for example, it had been an Asian-looking Jesus like that. But I was not so much in the church, so I could be brainwashed in this. So I was really clear from have any picture of anything in the Bible. And we were a few times in Christmas Day in the church and listened to this with Bethlehem, Mary and Joseph going to Bethlehem, and what happened with the wise man and this. I love to listen at it. It was like a fairy tale for me. It was no real. It was only story, child story for me. So I didn't have any deep thinking about Jesus. I know I had instead I had this experience of God, and that was not Jesus. So the only thing that was really that was deep for me, it was in one church my father took me to. There was that picture of an eye and triangle, and then eyes in that triangle, and I felt like I was thinking many times as a child that God sees us in everything we do. God looking at us. That was the only thing that affected me a little as a child, but not a picture of Jesus. We didn't have so much picture of Jesus because I was in a missionary church, and it was in that time was it much about India. The missionary was going to India, so it was much picture of India, and I was interested to listen about. I was born to be interested of travel and other countries, and then next church I was into, it was the Salvation Army, and there was not so much picture of Jesus either, and I was only there the longest time I was in Salvation Army, longest time, but I didn't want to be there. When they started to invite a pop band, those and they were playing the same music as I listened at the radio. I love the pop music. I love to listen at Beatles, Rolling Stones, and those. That was in my time. and still going on. uh, and and that's very strange because I didn't like when they start to play pop music in the Salvation Army. So I left because that was not my music in the church. That was against everything. So I have some kind of spirit already as a child and in a teenager and a real thing was when I was at the hospital. I had my first job. I was 16 years old, and I was to the hospital with a little girl I took care of, and when I sit and wait for that girl to come back from the doctor, the nurse had taken her to the doctor, and I was sitting in the waiting room, and the nurse said that I should not be scared about a girl that was sitting in her room in a bed, and she was saying hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye the whole time in Swedish. And the nurse said, don't be frightened because she can't walk, so she can't come out here. And she sit the whole day and say this the whole day long. So but don't be scared of her. So I sit and wait for the little girl to come back, and then suddenly I heard a voice say to me, come in to my room. And I was not thinking that girl couldn't talk. She could only say hello and goodbye. So, but I walk into her room, and she was sitting on the bed and had her legs hanging down from the bed. And I sat on her left side, and she said to me that I was never thinking that she couldn't talk, and this have happened some few times more, that people have talked to me that can't talk with their mouth. And so it must be the spirit talking that have been when I was 16 years old, and other times also. So she said that she told me that her parents have died. They were killed in a car accident, and she was the only survived from the car accident. And she said that she was lonely. She had no one in life anymore, and she was so very sad about it. But I was 16 years old, and I didn't know what to say and do for her. So, and she said, take your hand up on my head, she said, and I think she took my hand and lay it on her head, and it was on her left side of the head, and I could feel it was no skull there. She had no bones on her head. It was a big hole in her head, and it was the skin over it, but it was soft. It was no hard skull under it. So I hold my hand like that on her head, and I didn't know because I had never done it before, but I know it today that it was a healing. I lay hand on her without knowing it. The spirit that was there in the room, she make me do it. And then I heard that the nurse come with a little girl, so I walk out from the room and walking in this corridor hall to that nurse and the little girl, and just when I should be close to the nurse and take the child, the nurse was screaming, and the paper she held in her hand was flying in the air, and she was screaming, "It can't happen, it's a miracle, it can't." So it come people out from the other rooms and wondering what it was, and they were talking, and I turned around to see what it was she was screaming about, and there it come that girl that I had lay hand on, and she was walking, and I took that my little girl, I took her, and I walk away out from the hospital because I didn't felt it was like it was me that have done that healing. I only felt like it was time to go because I was working, so it was a time limit for me to be at the hospital, and I need to take the bus back to that girl's home. And so I did already when I was 16 years old, and I didn't know God. So that's happened before God come. So that make me understand that I had already the healing in me. It was not that God come and took me in year 2000. The spirit was already inside me. And why it was inside me, it was because my adopted older sister, she pushed me out on the street one day when she took care of me. In that time, it was that we were very young and was out without parents, and my mother only looked out in the window sometimes to see where we were, like that. But many times if she was making food or baking like that, it took a long time before she went to the window and looked where we were. So my adopted sister took me to a street, a little busy street, and then she pushed me out on the street, and I was killed. And I wake up laying in those house where they have those dead people. The corpse was in that cold, dark place. And I was laying there on the table, like a table, and had no clothes on. I was nude and laying there. And I wake up of first it felt like metallic hands, and then it come like a big bright light from the ceiling come down to me, and it was a very bright light, and it felt warm, the light, and it was over my body. And then my mother said that to me, that I should have been dead, but I wake up and be alive again. And she didn't know what it was, and of course she didn't, because she wasn't there when it happened. But in some way they did find me alive. And I think it's where I got this healing energy inside me. It was when I was healed, when I was a little child. And today, when I'm old, I can see it, because they say that in the hospital sometimes that I don't look in my body. I don't look like the normal built person. I have my heart, for example, is not on the left side. I have it in the middle of my body. So they have hard to find it when they should check it out. And I know that my hips is crushed in small pieces. That I got to know when I was pregnant, that I have much pain, because they told me that it was because my hips was crushed. And so it's much that have been, and I can see scars in my skin that I don't know where it's coming from. Now when I growing old, and my skin is thinner, and I have a spirit here now. I hope this spirit will give me the answer I wait for, because it's depression to not have any person in my life. It's 1 week since my daughter was calling me, and last time we talked 5 minutes, and then on over the chat on the internet, and it's not much. It's very. It's not like a mother and a daughter. It can take long time. It's almost a year since we met each other physical. So it's not much. I don't have any friends. I don't have any from any church that coming here, and I don't and not call me or wondering how it is. I get some card for Christmas, one card from a church and one from my daughter. That's it. And I don't have any friends that take contact and ask how it is, and I don't have any relatives that care, because my brother have say bad things about me, so they believe that I maybe do drugs or drinking or whatever bad thing I do, that he say. I don't know what he's lying about me about, but I know he's talking bad about me. So yeah, I should not have any contact with my relatives. But it doesn't matter, because most of my relatives they die, because I was next youngest of cousins. I have very old cousins that is almost 100 years old, and they all of them have died. I don't have any aunts, or I don't have any relatives left. Most of them are dead, so it doesn't matter anymore. He can't say bad things to people that is dead. It's then they are spirits, and the spirits know everything what's going on, so they know that today they know that he lie for them. So it doesn't matter anymore, and it doesn't matter anything. I can forgive him for have done so many bad things to me, and make that I have hard to do things, because memories of what he had done to me when I was a child is coming up in my brain, and so I'm worried about, frightened about things sometimes that is nothing to be frightened about, really not to be frightened about, but it sit there, memories of the childhood, of abused in the childhood, but it doesn't matter anymore. We are old, and it's life ends whenever. We should be thankful for every breath we can take. It's I hope this spirit that is here now, that this spirit will give some answer for me, why nothing happened when it come to people. It happened very much when it's come to the spirit, but the world, people that should be interested of me as a person, why I have so close contact with God. But only today on Facebook people say like they don't know that I am so close to God. They think that I am only an ordinary person with the knowledge of Jesus. They say Jesus to me the whole time. They don't know that I don't believe in Jesus as God. They don't know me at all. It's so sad. Some of them have been my friends on Facebook for maybe 10 years, and I have written about or my progress in the spirit, and they don't know because they are so brainwashed, so they don't hear, they don't understand, they can't read that I say, I don't believe that Jesus is God. They don't see it. They still read it like Jesus is my God, like that. They don't see that I have changed my writing, and I write that I have developed so much in lately now, and I am so close to God as I can't be closer to God in that way that if I should go be closer to God, I should not be here on earth. I am so close. So next step I take, that will be that bye-bye from earth. I am so close. I can go up to heaven. I have been up to heaven sometimes and coming back. I have not died. It have been in the spirit. I have been taken up in the spirit to heaven, and so that's not many people that have done that. It have been people that is talking about when they have done a surgery and then they die in the surgery and be in heaven for 10 minutes like that. But I am not dead. I can go up to heaven. The Spirit said to me that I should go up to heaven now. So I'm not so happy to go up to heaven because I'm frightened that I'm not coming back if I go up to heaven. But the Spirit is telling me it's a woman. She looked like an angel that is here. And she say I should not be worried because she is going to bring me back. So that we will see if they can give me an answer in heaven. So I enter into heaven now. It's still dark, so I don't see so much. I see the angel. As is, she said, it's dark around where she is, and she take me there in the darkness. And now it's coming. I see a man, like a man, sitting, sitting on like a chair, and it's black around us, and I can only see the angels and this man that look like Santa, like that, with a beard, and he's a little thick, fat man sitting there, and it's like a cave I am in, and but it's very bright where he sit. So it's not scary because it's so much bright around him. And but I see that it's like in the background behind him is like a hole, like a tunnel more. So it can be something to walk in there. But so far am I only in front of him. And he holds like a fire, a flame. And so I suppose it's him I am going to hear from. No, he say that it's I should continue to go in there in that dark like a tunnel. So he say I only had a light for me so I could see it. So I go in there and I say to the angel that you have to take me back to earth if I go into that tunnel, because it's very dark here. But I know I'm going somewhere. I come into that room again that I have been, where God is sitting like he's sitting. It's I have told you before that is a spirit thing. So if they want to show me something, they make themselves be like a human, but they are a spirit. So now I am in front of God. He's on his throne. So I think now I should not assume anything. But I hope I can get an answer why it's like it is. He looked like the same as it was for some years ago when I was to God and talk. And he say, you should not know so much. He mean that I'm curious, I want to know. You should not know so much. You have to wait. But I say to God that for us on earth, it's time is very hard for us, especially when we grow old. Then we know the time have a limit. So it's not easy to be alone. For 21 years I have been alone, God. And I don't know if ever it will be a solution on earth that have with me to do. If I have been in all this struggle, these painful, suffering things for nothing. He said to me that I have learned very much. I have got much knowledge. God, it's I want to use my knowledge for the earth. I'm sorry that I say I want, but in my way to see it on earth is it that it should be a result of it. And he turned around a little with his body, like I don't you understand, like that to me. He be like not patient with me, but not angry, but he is a little frustrated over me that I don't understand what is going on. And no, I say I don't know what's going on earth, because I have coming so much in that spirit way, but the world is so far away and they don't understand. No one understands what's going on, what's have been done in my life, and what will be, or I don't know anything, God. I don't see it. I understand the spirit way, but I don't understand what I am doing on earth when people don't understand me. God is saying this, that's have we also wondering about this, and put like a finger up in his face, like wondering. He's showing me. I don't know if he play with me in that way, that he copy me saying like that. He say he will give me a hint, he say to me. So please give me a hint of what's going on earth. He say, you see a sign of much going on in the nature. He say, it's going on bad things on earth. It's going to be like waves more. And we are, and then he showed me it's horses, many horses he's showing me. And those horses, they look white horses. It's not brown or black horses, it's white horses running around, and they carry some like military men on, and they have a sword, and they're waving around with a sword into the city. It's a city, and they riding around around the city. It's turbulence, you say. It's confusing. God is saying to me that it's confusing time. It's a war in the real. It's a war in those kingdoms that is. It's a fight between evil and good things. It's I don't know, he takes something around me like it's like it's not the smoke, it's like mist strings around me, and pull me into like a cloud. And I enter into something else now. There is something in the like a sky, and it's a star, and it's like an angel there also that is without a body. It's like a star, a bright star. And she say, I hold you. And you should know that who you are and where you're going. And I say, I know that, but I don't know what the world will be, because I have not the world with me. I'm by myself. What can I do? I feel like it's waste of everything I have been through. If there is any result of what I have done that affect the world in what I have done. And she say test. She say I test people. Say that that's not the result we see on earth. We don't see the result on earth. It's very frustrating for not only for me, for many people that is praying to you here in heaven to do something against what's going on in the world, on earth. What's going on? It's so bad things going on now on earth. And she say we know it. We know what's going on, and we have that control. We have that control. And your time is not yet out from earth. It's we can't give you any answer that you want to get, because it's depending on what's going on earth with those people that we have placed on earth to be like a protecting of the good things. But those people is like they be taken of those evil. They are not strong enough to hold back what's going on of the evil things. What can you do then? I ask her. What can you do to make this army that you have already placed on earth, the army to be stronger? Oh, we need you on earth. We need you to take the control over earth and not let it be. Let it be. I understand now. I understand now why it's so dark. I know why it's so dark here, I say to her. It's taken over you also. Those evil things, and you be weaker. And she said to me that heaven is also dependent on earth. It's a relationship, it's connection between heaven and earth. And when there is not many people that pray and ask us to come to help them, then we also be weak, and we are leaving. We are leaving. We are not leaving the universe, but we are leaving Earth. We are not going to be protect over your planet if there is not many people that want us to be there, and they praying to wrong God. They are praying to Jesus, and you have seen Jesus where he is here in heaven. Yes, I have seen him in the garden. He's not the one that is doing things on earth anymore. He have done his work on earth. But people, not people, but the devil have make them believe that Jesus is God, and they are praying to God. They praying to God, but it's Jesus they are praying to, because he is their God, and they don't understand. They don't know God. They don't know God. They only know what they have been fed with from the devil from the beginning. When they were born, when they were a child, they have been alive for, and then is other religions also that they sit and read the books only and have no connection with God. They don't have, they counted the letters, they do the numbers, and they analyze what they understand in the books. But what they understand is not the same as the truth. And they sit there and they are like in a prison, and they don't see what's is around them. And they tied up themselves in a group of people and not are involved of what's going on in the world. They are blinded and foolish and not have any contact with us. So that it's what Jesus was saying when he was on earth. That's so sad. That is the truth, that if he find any righteous person on earth, we know you are, but how many is it that is really righteous on earth? Who is it? Where are you? You should go together, you that understand this. Who is God? And God is a spirit. God is a spirit. He had never been in a body. He had been in a body, but he is not built as a body. He takes place in people's bodies, but he have not himself created himself to be God walking on earth. There is God walking on earth, but that is with some people that he enter in. The Spirit of God is inside people. They don't understand this. And Jesus was the first one that received God's Spirit in him. But his time was on earth, and his time is not today. That's what he is talking about. He was talking about the Holy Spirit that should come on earth. But people don't know what the Holy Spirit are. It's God's Spirit that's coming into people if they have an open mind, if there is an open, clean body to enter into. You were a clean body, not in what you are doing, because you did many things that was not godly, but you were not brainwashed, you were not taught and learned from what you should think about God. That's a different, that you were clean from lies from the church. It have nothing with the world to do, it have with the Spirit to do. Who is clean and not clean. You can be in prison and done crazy things and still get into to get the God's Spirit in you when you have nothing with the church to do, with religion to do, that you someone that we can place in the spirit inside that body. But of course, those in prison have been with the devil too much, so they are not clean. There is two ways to be. Is it too much of mold, poison in the person that we can't put the spirit in them? But there is people that they have not done so much, that is clean and still be in prison. They don't talk about prison, that we are. They are not talking about prison as we see it. You know, they are talking about that people hold them, that things have taken them in their mind and in their bodies, and whatever there is to be a prison, that you have not your free will and you don't have clean up your house. You have not cleaned up your house. You know that the temple for God is your body. And that's not only a building, it's something that in your body that the God will enter into. But you hold into what you have learned since child. You hold in stubborn into what you come to learn from your childhood, and you hold it. You're scared. You are frightened to let it go. So you have not cleaned up your home. You have not cleaned up your house. You have not cleaned up so it can be a temple for God to enter in. That's what the devil is doing today, running around them and place people in prison. So they are worried to open up for new thinking and new. We hear it very much today about the new world order. That is a scary thing. It's the devil that do it to people. So people close their home and not let God's Spirit enter in. They don't receive God in that way. The devil have fooled people so much, and it's not only today, it's going on in generations all over the world. But I'm leaving here now. I thank you for have been possible for me to enter in to heaven, and I don't know if I understand what it have with me to do, what's going on in my life, how can I change people to understand, to open up for, to not hold into those lies that the devil have done. How can I do it? I am by myself. There is no one here. I don't know what to do. And but I know that you lead me. You tell me what to do. So I must have faith in you that you are going to tell me the next step, what to do in the next step, because you have done it. You are telling me step by step now. I have going very fast since 2016 when I was in Israel, and you told me to do my DNA test and then have it run very fast. And I maybe are spoiled to get it very fast. Next step. But this step seems to be much bigger step than what I have had in these 6 years. So I have to trust God. I have to trust God's kingdom to tell me next step, what to do or what to see, what will happen, and to be still in God. And it's sad to know that you are less and less of heaven. The heaven is shrinking. The heaven is there, but the enter into heaven is closing up. That's what you showed me now in this way to take me into heaven. And that was very, very tight. It was very tight to come into heaven. It was dark and it was tight and not good. It's what you wanted me to see, even if it doesn't look like that for real. But that was symbolic, what you told me and showed me. It's much symbolic, and it's very hard sometimes to understand it. But I understand that it's closing. It starts to close up if we don't do anything here on earth to come closer to God. But how can they do it? You can't do it in that way I have done it. It doesn't work in that way. So maybe there is another way to do it. Or, I don't know, to listen to this podcast more, and you get the answer what to do, and I suppose it's a learning for you about how to develop the spirit in you, to open up for God to come inside you, to be one with God. It's very hard when the world is what it is, when it's much stress and so much hunting for money and all these things that make us, not me but for other people, to not come closer to God, to instead be the opposite, stay longer and longer away from God. You love God, but you don't know how to find Him. And I hope I can help you to find God for you. Thank you for listening. I don't know if I'm going to let it be like it is. It was very strange recording. Thank you for listening.